But they only do this for certain games, guys. They only do this for certain games. And you know what I noticed? They do it for Nintendo games. A lot of the time, they do it for Nintendo games. If you guys can, if you have access to your computer right now, go and look up IGN and look up Kotaku or look up these big websites and see how they report on the media create. Look up VG 24/7. See what they report on the media create. See when they stopped reporting on the media create. When the PS4 started selling downward and it started selling bad, they kind of did one more report and they just kind of skipped reporting on the media create. They decide the media create is every single week, guys. It's every single week. And just to let you guys know, because I know I'm kind of talking a little intense right now, I'm perfectly fine. So I'm not screaming. I don't want to make this into a rant or anything. So maybe I should calm down just a little bit. But anyway, the media create is a every week thing, guys. If you report on the media create one week, you should report on it every week, unless you inform your users, hey, I'm not going to report on this anymore. I don't feel that it's important to report on, or I don't think I'm going to report on it anymore. You know, I did the same thing with the eShop charts, because the eShop charts, they don't give any numbers. They don't give any numbers, and they don't give us any way to find out. The only charts that I report on now is basically I report sometimes on the Amazon, you know, and I'll just say like, there's like a couple games, the largest Japanese retail chain. I'll report on those charts. Sorry, because I know I butchered that name, but I'll report on those, and I'll also report on the media create, because those give numbers. I stopped reporting on the UK sales charts, and because the UK sales charts, they don't give any numbers. They have the numbers, but they don't ever give any numbers. They might give them at the very end of the year, but they'll never give the numbers. So I told everybody, said, hey, these UK sales charts, I don't know about them. They don't include digital. I'm not going to report on these anymore, guys, okay? That I'm not going to use it. Like, you know, Hyrule Warriors debuted 4th today on the UK sales charts. That could have been a good thing. Like, oh, a Wii U game is at the top of the UK sales charts. I didn't report on that because I stopped reporting on it. I'm not going to pick and choose my news stories of when to report on to fit my agenda, you know, because reporting on Hyrule Warriors getting 4th on the UK charts because Wii U games don't ever really get up that high on there, that would have fit, you know, my site because it's more of Nintendo. But I didn't report on it because I stopped reporting on it. These websites like IGN and Kotaku, they selectively report on the media create. They report on it when they feel like we can create a big story. And it's already like a given. Well, Japanese game or American titles don't sell in Japan, so we don't have to report on it when all the titles in Japan are coming out. You know, all the American titles are coming out in Japan. They don't buy them anyway, so we don't need to report on it. But Bayonetta 2, oh yeah, that's a game that we report on. Absolutely failing to realize that Platinum Games, while they are in Japan, their fan base is America. It's no different from an American developer for the most part. Platinum Games sells far more games, far more titles in North America and Europe. Every single one of their games has sold more in North America individually, we're not just talking about combined, individually more in North America and in Europe than in Japan. There's one game of that exception. There's one game that I can recall Platinum Games where they actually sold better. Console game. We're talking about like Mad World, Anarchy Reigns. We're talking about Bayonetta, Vanquish, games like that. There's one game. And the one game was Metal Gear Rising. That game sold, I think, less than 500,000 units in Japan, and it sold, you know, I think like 300 or 400,000 in North America. And I'll have the numbers in the description at some point, so you guys can check that out. But yeah, it actually sold more in Japan than it did anywhere worldwide. But Europe and North America still sold more. If you add up all of Platinum Games' titles, their main titles on consoles, Mad World, like I talked about, they've sold well over around 3 million units plus in North America. While in Japan, they've sold less than 600,000 units with all of their games combined. And a bulk of that, the main bulk of that is basically Metal Gear. I mean, really, the most they've ever sold in Japan was like Metal Gear. That's it. And that's because it was Metal Gear. They are a Japanese developer that sells their games to American consumers. And that's apparent in their games. That's why Microsoft, who's doing crap in Japan right now, that's why Microsoft had no problem paying them to make Scalebound, because they know that they're not selling that game predominantly to the Japanese audience. They're selling that game to the American audience. So the media decides to make a huge deal about one sales region because it's Wii U, because it's Nintendo. So they make a big deal about it. After not reporting on the media create, Why don't they report every week on how bad the PS4 was doing? Some of them do, but a lot of them don't. I mean, I think there was like one article on IGN about that, and he was basically late. I think it was Colin Moriarty, and he was basically lacing it. Oh, well, they're going to recover, and there was a bunch of inaccuracies in there, and like, oh, well, basically alluding to, oh, well, the PS4 is going to eventually do better. It wasn't like it was just outright like, hey, here's the facts, blah, blah, blah. He was putting his own opinion in there, laced all in there. But that's fine. Hey, you want to do that? That's cool. Your site, how you report how you want to do it. But they'll basically skip days. They'll only wait till there's a big Nintendo game and say it didn't sell enough.